fight so far, and hence why they are ahead. It's a little blunder as to why they score, but you have to give them credit. And if you don't take your shots to goal, then you won't score. We had like 3 good chances, shots on goal, and we just didn't put the ball in the back of the net.
St. Catherine High doing an amazing job. George is on a side for Catherine a bigger, better side. And I am confident that we're going to win a 1 Princess Never 2 nor 3, a 1 St. Catherine.
And so they did. St. Catherine handed Georges their first defeat of the season in what was the final group game in round 1. The team from Spanish Town secures sole custody of first place, while Neville Bell and his boys will have to settle for second. And that's it for this week's Fan View. Stay in touch with all things schoolboy football right here on Pitchside on CVM TV.
And with that George's feature, that's where the bell rings for this week. I'm Ronaldo Adams. Join us again next week. I'm out.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Small business owners and independent contractors get affordable insurance with Sagicor Pro Shield. The time by Sagicor Life is
7 o'clock.
Coming up in CVM News at 7, PNP leader says Rockfort SOE is unjust. Curfew in Manchester following fatal robbery. Commonwealth heads of government meeting concludes. And NHT to complete 43,000 housing solutions by 2025. While in sports, New Zealand clinch historic series win in India.
Kingston, Jamaica. This is CVM News at 7, the weekend edition. It's Saturday, October 26, 2024. I'm Carolyn Brown. Good evening to you. Now, in a move to bring comfort to residents of Rockfort, Kingston, leader of the opposition, Mark Golding, toured the area, which was struck by the crime monster, which claimed the lives of 5 people and injured 2 others. Adrian Williams has more in this CVM News follow-up.
In a show of solidarity with residents of Pleasant Heights, Rockfort, Kingston, following the Heroes Day mass shooting at a football competition in the area, Leader of the Opposition, Mark Golding, toured the space along with Member of Parliament, Philip Paulwell, and Superintendent of Police for the East Kingston Division, Tammy Lee Chambers. Golding believes the call to implement a state of emergency, SOE, is unjust.
I think that's really a PR exercise. I've driven through the area, part of the area, a large part of the area covered by the SOE. I haven't seen one soldier or police until I got to the police station where we are now. So, I don't think that response is, as you know, lawful. We've taken that matter to the Constitutional Court and we're awaiting the hearing of that matter.
Golding pointed to Operation Recovery in Trelawney as an example that utilizes a heavy police and military presence as a better way of maximizing security efforts without the need for the use of SOE orders.
So, to my mind, what this shows you is that the necessary tools to get control of an area exist without resorting to the ultimate constitutional weapon of a state of emergency, which is really there to protect the subversion of the state, not to deal with difficult policing work that may arise from time to time. And that's our position, and we are waiting to hear whether the courts agree with us or not.
The party leader, however, encourages the residents to be resilient amidst the grief and tension brought on by Monday's incident.
I would urge everybody to try to get back on track. My understanding is that a lot of work has been done over the past few years to bring peace to the community, and the peace was being enjoyed. And this is a big setback for that process. So leave vengeance to the Lord. That is not the role of man. We must live according to the teachings of Jesus Christ, which is to embrace peace and love. And revenge doesn't bring back any anything that has gone on already. So, I would urge persons to just try to bring the peace movement in the constituency back together, and so we can avoid any escalation of the situation or reprisals for what has happened.
Adrian Williams for CVM News.
Elected leaders from across the Commonwealth converged on Samoa, home to 2.5 billion people, between October 21 and October 26 for the Commonwealth Heads meeting. Now this year, the meeting centered around the theme, One Resilient Common Future, Transforming Our Commonwealth. It's the first time the meeting has been hosted by a Pacific small island developing state. With more details, we go to Joel Pascal.
Coincides with the 75th anniversary of the modern Commonwealth, a community which represents approximately 1/3 of the global population. However, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, in leading Jamaica's delegation to the 27th Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, reminds approximately 66% of that number belong to some of the most vulnerable nations in the world, characteristically known as SIDS, or Small Island Developing States.
Jamaica's a strong advocate for SIDS and for highly indebted middle-income countries, and we will therefore spend some time on matters including financing for development, climate change and climate finance, ocean governance, and of course technology, particularly in the field of AI. We're looking at resilient societies, resilient economies, and of course resilient environments.
Johnson-Smith, who participated in a range of meetings, was also invited to be a panelist at a side event convened by the British Foreign Secretary on finance and investment for resilient growth, where the opportunity was used to share Jamaica's experience in building national resilience to the impacts of climate change.
As we always do in the Commonwealth, we focus on people. So we will have intergenerational discussions on building resilience and empowerment of our young people, addressing aging populations and focusing more on elderly care, as well as, of course, focusing on empowerment of our women and girls across the Commonwealth, because the pace is not even.
The conference also provided an avenue for Commonwealth members to once again raise the issue of reparations.
The conference will also have the opportunity for meaningful discussion, or laying a foundation for meaningful discussion on reparatory justice for the transatlantic slave trade, which is a critical matter for CARICOM and indeed a matter on which Jamaica has been advocating for years.
Joel Crosskill, CVM News.
Despite the intention of the Commonwealth leaders to have the issue of reparatory justice ventilated during his first attendance at the Heads of Government meeting as head of the Commonwealth, His Majesty King Charles III avoided directly addressing the issue of slavery, instead focusing on the context of relationships that exist today among the Commonwealth family of nations.
At a time of heightened global tensions, of horrifying conflict and challenges of the greatest magnitude, it seems to me that these connections between us are more precious than ever. Together we are wiser, stronger, and more able to respond to the demands of our time.
The monarch considers the principle that the Commonwealth is one of genuine opportunity for all as worth championing.
Few of our forebears could have imagined the Commonwealth of today. Our free association of proudly independent nations, alive with opportunity, stands in proud defiance of the discrimination of the past. We have not reached this point by accident. Shared vision and collective courage have been our lodestar. As we set a course for the century ahead, we can renew our courage with our faith in one another. For my part, I can assure you today that for however many years God grants me, I will join you and the people of the Commonwealth on every step of this journey. Let us learn from the lessons of the past. Let us be proud of who we are today, and together Let us forge a future of harmony with nature and between ourselves that our children and our grandchildren deserve.
Investigations are ongoing into a fatal shooting incident on Campbell's Lane in Mount Salem, St. James this week. What's concerning is it happened in close proximity to a zone of special operations ZOSO post, that is. Adrian Williams reports.
A shocking shooting incident on Campbell's Lane, Mount Salem in St. James has left one man gunned down, highlighting once again concern about serious crimes in the parish. Residents of Campbell's Lane were taken by surprise when gunfire erupted in their neighborhood.
Some just can't understand this. You know, deal with people, if you don't trouble him, you can't get him fever talk. And I want a really talkative person with it. Yeah, you know, friendly, you know, talkative, no. Me no know.
Commanding officer for the St. James Division, Superintendent of Police, Aaron Samuels, gave details on the incident.
On Thursday, October 24th, at approximately 9:30 a.m., members of the security forces responded to reports of gunfire within the Mount Salem community. Upon reaching the Campbell's Lane area, one man was seen lining the road in a pool of blood.
The superintendent lauded the swift action of the police and military, leading to suspects being brought in and firearms retrieved.
The swift action of the police resulted in one man being held with an AR-15 rifle as he tried to conceal it in a wash pan in a house nearby. Subsequent operations led to another man being held and also a pistol being seized in this operation.
Samuels is calling on the community to join the force in bringing the negative influences to an end.
I'm appealing to any resident, anybody who has any additional information that can help us to find the other members of this criminal organization that tried to reign mayhem in the Mount Salem community. We're appealing. Tell us what you know. We want to ensure that we continue to see good reductions in St. James and to bring an end to the crime and violence that is plaguing the parish of St. James.
Adrian Williams for CVM News.
Meanwhile, the murder tally for the parish of Manchester continues to go up. In the latest gun attack, a man was killed while his girlfriend was injured in an alleged robbery attempt. Here's more from Britannia Whittle.
With the busiest time of the year just around the corner, Manchester is making headlines once again as there was another murder in the parish on Thursday night. That is 30-year-old Roshane Wiltshire, a resident of Evernest District in Knockpatrick. His girlfriend was also shot in the abdomen. Reports are that the couple was in a bar when gunmen entered the establishment and demanded money from them. When their demands were not met, it's alleged that the gunmen opened fire on the man, killing Wiltshire on the spot. The gunmen then turned their weapons on a Toyota Probox taxi which was traversing the bar. The taxi operator narrowly escaped injuries as bullets only shattered his windshield. The taxi operator transported the injured woman to the hospital where she was rushed into emergency surgery. Councillor for Knockpatrick Division Carl Smith says the community has become a frequent place for criminals, resulting in the need for a stronger police presence.
Based on information, there has been a heightened in regular break-ins in that area. And I personally made a call to the Newport police and they reassured me that they will do regular patrol. My investigations also tell me that 10 minutes before the incident, the police was in the area.
However, he says it's as if the criminals are also studying the movements of the police.
We're dealing with that new set of criminals who, one, they're on the lookout for the police, and it's like they're studying the patterns of the police. You know, a patrol go on 1 minute now, so they're not going to come back for now.
This latest murder is a part of a disturbing trend in Manchester, as 4 people have been murdered in the parish for the month of October, 2 of whom were killed at the Mandeville Market, prompting a tour from the Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, a week ago. Security measures such as curfews were also imposed as authorities met with business operators and the citizens at a town hall to hear their concerns. The councillor says the incident has left the residents horrified.
There's a high level of fear within the community. I spoke to a lady this morning who the incident took place very close to her house, and she was telling me that they are all terrified and scared. not sure what to expect. So most naturally, it will be fearful for any community member.
Britannia Whittle, CVM News.
And as a result of that shooting, a curfew was imposed in Inverness, Greenvale and the L Belt from Albion to Porus. In fact, all the communities between those two areas, including New Hall, Comfort, Broadleaf and Mayday, are now under curfew. The curfew began at 6 p.m. on Friday, October 25, and is to end at 6 a.m. on Monday, October 28. Do stay with us for more news in a moment.
Jamaica, get ready! Saturday, October 26th, live on the lawns of Uwimona. It's Boys to Men. Singing your favorite hits. Also performing live, Tess and Chin and Lila Ike. Get your tickets now at caribtix.com, Kingston, Jer and Fontana. Saturday, October 26, 2024. It's Boys to Men, live on the lawns of Uwimona. Starts at 8 p.m. Sponsored by Supreme Ventures, Mayberry, Main Event, Island Grill, and Courtly Hospitality Group.
Recycling Partners of Jamaica. Yeah, we got to make a change, and we have to do it now, can't wait for later. We put plastic in its place, and we all can agree that will be safer than in the gullies and in the drains. Recycling Partners of Jamaica. We put plastic in its place, yeah, the place have to clean. PET, the top of the ethylene, HDPE, buckle up against screen. Baby to granny, everybody roping. Yeah, we got to go green, you know what I mean. See the sign from the bin, if we drop it in, through car window you flick, that another thing. And we don't want no garbage in this game. No, we are the little bug, them are not the same. So listen up Jamaica, I'm saying it's time to make a change. Recycling Partners of Jamaica. We put plastic in its place, and we all can agree that will be safer than in the gullies in the every rains. Recycling Partners of Jamaica. We put plastic in its place.
Thanks for staying with us. Prime Minister Andrew Holness handed over 50 National Housing Trust NHT housing units in Union Acres, Irwin, St. James. More from Adrian Williams on how the 43,000 housing solution target is to be met.
Speaking at the Union Acres housing handover ceremony in Irwin, St. James earlier this week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced that the National Housing Trust, NHT, is aiming to construct 43,000 housing solutions for the country by 2025, of which 9,837 are intended for the parishes of St. James, Trelawney, Hanover, and Westmoreland.
The good news is that the NHT is moving much more quickly in getting houses built. We have, I like to call it a train line of housing developments that are slated for this parish, and they will all happen in very quick time for the people of this parish.
Separate from housing developments, there are other special projects which the NHT are focusing on.
For example, the NHT has spent $38 million in completing the St. James Infirmary, $200 million on the Anchovy Police Station. And in scheme upgrades, the NHT is spending $323.6 million on Farm Heights, Pit 4, Vaughnsfield, Bullocks Heights, Richmond Hill, and West Green housing developments, housing schemes.
The Prime Minister explained the different ways Jamaicans can benefit from the housing solutions when applying by themselves or with up to 2 family members. He says in the open market, there is no control over the price, but the government tries to control mortgage costs.
Government has to create the economic circumstances where we manage inflation and manage interest rates. And that is where economic policy is so important. If the government does not manage those two key variables, then housing costs will get out of the range of most Jamaicans.
Adrian Williams for CVM News.
And we move from local to regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. The Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting concluded in Samoa, with leaders reaffirming their commitment to tackling global economic, environmental and security challenges. Commonwealth Secretary-General Patricia Scotland says the progress made with the Blue Charter that underpins the declaration helps member states rise to today's climate challenges and seize tomorrow's opportunities. CBC News Barbados shares the details.
So what this declaration does is to say that even if the sea rises and subsumes the land, if marine boundaries have been fixed, they will remain. And therefore the peoples of these islands will be secure that their knowledge that this ocean, which has been theirs for millennia, will continue in the future. But the fight is really here. So for me, that was the most important step forward. We've been talking about how do we get the money we need in order to adapt and to mitigate. And we've spoken about the reform of the international financial institutions, about the importance of our Universal Vulnerability Index, which led the way to the UN's multi-dimensional vulnerability index.
Minister of Constitutional Reform Henry Charles Usher has hailed Belize's constitutional reform as a historic milestone despite facing criticism over its execution. Usher states that the initiative is the first of its kind worldwide. More from Channel 5 Belize.
There has always been the criticism that the government is not hearing what the people are saying. Well, this is an opportunity to hear directly from the people utilizing the forum of the PCC. It is not about any particular commissioner with a personal agenda to come in and say this is how the Constitution should look. Their job and the job of all of the stakeholders was to get this information from the people, report back to the government. For instance, on the issue of finance and accountability. Do you as a Belizean citizen feel comfortable with the budget process? That's supposed to come back to the government. On the issue of the head of state, do you as a Belizean people want to see the Governor General remain the head of state, or do you want to see a shift? That is what we're there. It's not for any particular individual or stakeholder to go in and try to bring their agenda or their feelings into the process. This is the People's Constitution Commission, and I don't think we appreciate that this is the first time in the history of the world really that something like this has been done. Barbados is currently in the process of rewriting their constitution, but what they have done is put together a team of lawyers stuck in a room somewhere trying to write this new constitution.
And in international news, President Joe Biden has formally apologized to Native Americans for a government-run boarding school system that for decades forcibly separated children from their parents, calling it a blot on American history. We turn to the Associated Press.
Hundreds and hundreds of federal Indian boarding schools across the country. Tens of thousands of Native children entered the system. Nearly 1,000 documented Native child deaths, though the real number is likely to be much, much higher.
I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I can't imagine my babies being taken away from me and never to be seen again.
Lost generations, culture and language, lost trust. It's horribly, horribly wrong. It's a sin on our soul. After 150 years, the United States government eventually stopped the program. But the federal government has never formally apologized for what happened until today. I formally apologize as President of the United States of America.
This is a historic apology.
And that's it for regional and international news.
will continue with Inspire Jamaica right after this. Welcome back. A health condition that affects the spine is called scoliosis, and children across the world are not excluded from its impact. Now, for this Inspire Jamaica, we meet a girl who is at a very concerning stage as the rate of curvature of her spine is rapidly narrowing. We spoke with her mother for part 1 of that case.
Reach out and touch somebody's hand, make this world a better place.
At 11 years old, Ajane Parchment is perhaps at her best emotionally and physically when she's curled up and asleep. There she was in January 2023, going through her acrobatic routines with plans for more stretches, turns, tumbles, leaps, even backflips.
We're getting ready for church, basically, and when she put on the dress, she was like slouching. She had this she just looked hooked up, in a sense. And I was like, Ajani, please, you need to free up your body. Relax, you're young. Why do you keep slouching and looking like that? She was like, Mommy, I'm not doing anything. And she was there. I took her, I tried to free her up, in a sense. But when I did so, I realized that her back, it wasn't even. You couldn't see it visually, but when you rub your hand across the back, you would feel that there was a difference. There was like a tilt in the back, right? After that, she started like complaining for like a couple of weeks. After that, she started complaining for like back pains, and I thought it was like probably it was just, because the bags that they bring to school are so heavy, they bring so much books to school. But then I realized that the curve in her back is started to look a little different every time.
Her drills would shortly after change, though, from school and fun activities to doctor's visits. First to the Noel Holmes Hospital in Hanover, where an X-ray was done.
When she did the X-ray came back and says that she has scoliosis, with an S-shaped scoliosis. So I was referred to Cornwall Regional. When we got to Cornwall Regional, they said that normally with cases like those, they normally dealt with it, but because of COVID, then they no longer deals with cases like those, so they referred us to the Bustamante Children's Hospital.
The news was hard on Ajane.
I used to want to become a gymnast, but after I found out about my scoliosis, my dreams were crushed. What I feel about my scoliosis, I feel like I have a disadvantage of becoming something in life.
Ms. Aitchison, who also has 2 other girls, watched helplessly as each report showed the abnormal curvature of the spine was aggressive at 25 degrees. And so a brace was prescribed. The better of 2 options, she says, as was explained by the physician.
One is surgery and the other is the brace. Now the surgery, they don't normally recommend the surgery for kids so young. They normally wait until they finish maturing. That is around age 18 before they normally do the surgery. So the brace would be the best thing to do. Alright, so they sent me to Rehab Plus with a prescription. We got the brace. It took about 8 weeks for us to get the brace. At Rehab Plus, they gave her a set of exercises. She was told to wear the brace for 23 hours for the day. and so on. And even though the brace was a bit uncomfortable and I had to force her, she wore the brace. Nothing happened.
Unfortunately, the device, which cost $235,000, was now rendered useless.
In about December thereabout, the curve moved to a 45 degrees angle. When it got to the 45 degrees angle, the brace was no longer working. So the doctor there said that at this point, it doesn't really matter if she wears the brace or not, because the brace can no longer help, because the curve that it is at,
it had now jumped to 83 degrees. So what's a mother left to do at this stage with a preteen with a bruised ego?